Hi, I'm Captain Mike Booth. I was the last captain of HMS Scylla, the Leander class frigate that was sunk off Whitsand Bay back in 2004. Ironically, it was my last year in the Navy by the time they sank it. I was captain of HMS Scylla from 1991 to 1993. And when we came back into Portsmouth Harbour in 1993, that was the end of her last voyage. She was also the last steam-driven frigate in the Royal Navy. So it was time to move on into more modern vessels with gas turbines and other types of propulsion. And actually, by the time we paid off, Scylla was certainly showing her age and feeling her age. And we'd just come back from the South Atlantic on that particular trip. And I think we were really limping home on a hope and a prayer. In 2004 or 2003, the Scylla was bought obviously by the National Maritime Aquarium down in Plymouth, and a team of Canadian demolition experts came over to supervise the scuttling of HMS Scylla off Plymouth, and I was involved and went down to visit them a number of times while this was going on. Very, very interesting period where they were putting cutting charges below the waterline and opening up the size of the ship above the waterline before she was eventually towed out in March 2004 and sunk off Whitsand Bay. The cutting charges went off first and started to lower the ship quite quickly, and then as soon as she dropped by about 3 or 4 feet, then the water came in through the larger openings above the waterline, and she actually sank in 1 minute and went down quite quickly. The Canadian team had a little bit of a bet on board of which was going to go down last, whether it was going to be the bow or the stern, and apparently it was the bow went down last by about a foot or so, but it was quite an occasion, and I actually really enjoyed watching that particular day. A lot of people were thinking that I was going to be rather sad about seeing the end of that ship going down. In fact, I wasn't, because I knew jolly well if she didn't do that, she was going to go be scrapped. We'd be using her razor blades in 10 or 15 years' time. It really meant that Scylla was going to have a life for about another 30 or 40 years as a major diving attraction. And that really gave her a second lease of life, which I think is a good thing for these warships. And I know there are other projects probably going along the rest of the UK coast with similar thoughts. So it's really pleasing that Oliver's going to go down there many years later, after he went on board as a small boy down here in Portsmouth to go and dive on that wreck. I've always thought of doing it, but I've never had the time or perhaps the inclination to go diving. As I was an aviator, I've done all the above water bit, but I've never done the below water bit. So I think Oliver will have a great time looking around the ship, perhaps even looking in my cabin when he gets there to see if there's anything else. And I look forward to the reports when he comes back, and I hope he has a great day there.